Hello friends, and welcome to my kitchen. It's Wednesday at 11 a.m. and here we are again for two healthy recipes for you. I am Julie Brinkley, and Sarah from Beneath the Surface News is just kind enough to let me come to you every week with my little obsession of making healthy food really, really delicious. Now, it comes as no secret, I am a weight loss coach, and I like to call it a transformation coach or a hope dealer, or I don't know, your own personal cheerleader. That's my favorite thing to do, is to motivate and encourage others. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can find more information right here on Beneath the Surface News, or you can find me on Facebook. As always, I'm coming to you on this really, in Texas, in Stephenville, Texas, we have a very rainy first day of school. So I was trying to decide what should I come to you today with. And one of the desires of my heart is when we have big days like first days of school or even birthdays and things like that, we think about foods that we celebrate with, foods that are maybe after a big game, maybe that weekend celebration, or maybe when you travel, that favorite food truck. So a couple favorites today are gonna be a Philly Cheesesteak skillet, amazing, and to give us that essence of buffalo wings, which in my family, that's one of our favorite indulgent flavors. We're gonna bring to you a cauliflower crust pizza will bring back all the flavors of buffalo chicken wings without all the guilt, okay? Again, all of this food follows an amazing nutrition plan that I coach with, but that does not mean that you cannot cook these amazing recipes just as a recipe, just as dinner. Let's just call it dinner, okay? We all have to eat, right? You know that D word, diet, gets a really bad rap. And the thing is, we've got to realize all of us diet, right? We all have to feed our bodies. That is what we do. Our diet is our nutrition. What are we putting in? Now, we kind of have a negative connotation with that if you're on a diet, you're restricting or you're cutting out things or you're starving, and you don't have to. So even though we don't like to say that word diet because it's come along with such a bad name now. So this is just about nutrition. So let's think about indulgent food in a different way, and I think you're gonna be surprised. So first up, like I told you, welcome to Beneath the Surface News. If this is the first time you're jumping in here, I love to see where you're coming from. So be sure to comment in the comments where you're watching from. And also let me know if you've made some of my recipes in the past. Let me know what you did. Let me know what you made. Let me know if you liked it. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. Secondly, all of these recipes can be found on beneaththesurfacenews.com. So be sure and check that out. Sarah has an amazing food blog called The Crumb. And on The Crumb, you'll find myself, these recipes, and other recipes that you might enjoy cooking for your family. Also, restaurant reviews and other tips and tricks from cooks and chefs nearby, okay? So welcome. Also, this is my disclaimer. I am not a professional chef at all. Like, I'm a home cook, a mom and a wife, and this is my real at-home kitchen, and I don't have a sous chef, although from time to time I have a little fur baby that will come walking past. I have recruited children to help me, believe me, but for the most part, I just come to you just as a former overweight person that has found joy in sharing the gift of eating healthy. So let's go ahead and get started. I think first off, I have to tell you a couple things. Many times you'll see with my recipes, we'll circle back to a technique. Oftentimes with spaghetti squash, this comes up, where I tell you 4 different ways to prepare spaghetti squash. Because you know what? For me, I don't really care, whichever way is fine. But some people see it one way and they think, oh my goodness, that's too hard. I would never do that. So I want you to have some options here. I want you to know that Today we're gonna do buffalo chicken. In the recipe, it calls for rotisserie chicken. Well, I know, and you guys know that if you're local, you can go right down to the H-E-B and get you a container of rotisserie chicken that's already deboned and super simple, right? Maybe that's where we need to meet you at with healthy cooking. Maybe you need it that simple. Today, I actually use the Instapot, so that's a different way to prepare it. I had chicken in the freezer. I wanted to use it up. I shredded it real quick from the Instapot. Easy breezy for me, but don't look at any of these instructions and think, oh my gosh, that's way too hard. I will never cook that way. Because there's usually always a way to cut a corner or make it simple. Now that is one thing I will tell you too, as I remind you every week, I only come to you with recipes that I feel are family friendly, minimal ingredients, and easy to make for anyone, okay? Now, if you're not a cook, will you have some challenges? Maybe, but rise to the challenge. If we start cooking at home and preparing our food, we know more what goes into our body and we're able to kind of take control of our health. So, not spaghetti squash today, but I want to come to you with cauliflower rice, riced cauliflower. You can get it right out of the freezer section. Several things you might see online will tell you, you can grate it yourself. You can pulverize it in your food processor. All of those things I've done before, and all of them actually end up the same. Here's one change. I like to use the freezer version of cauliflower rice because it's super simple, a lot less messy, and I don't find anything different about the nutritional value or the steps in preparing. It's just as easy. So today what I've done is I took a frozen bag of cauliflower rice and I laid it out on a baking sheet. This is noted in the recipe. Now, you've seen me before put that same bag of cauliflower rice right into the microwave, and that's fine too. I will tell you, if you microwave like we typically have done before for about 4 to 5 minutes, follow the package directions, you're gonna need to use some type of cloth and you're gonna wanna squeeze out that cauliflower rice. It's still gonna be really, have a lot of moisture in it, okay? So you would open up a cloth like this, put your cauliflower rice in it, roll it up almost like a little tamale, okay? I like to use references of things that I don't really eat anymore. And then you're gonna squeeze it, and that's gonna leave that cauliflower rice a little drier and best for this preparation. Now what I did was I put it on a baking sheet, frozen, and I just kind of smeared it out. I used a silicone sheet, and what that did is it not only gave me, I don't know if I can show you this, not only gave me some little edges, some little brown edges to that cauliflower, it gave it kind of some texture, not quite as mushy. It also dries it out a little bit, okay? So I'm not gonna have to have that problem of putting more, getting that moisture out and having it be a mess. So the recipe calls for 5 cups. I will tell you guys, that's gonna be about 2.5 bags. This is 2 bags, and I really could use 1 more bag. After the moisture is drawn out of this, it's not quite 5 cups, but we're gonna go with it today. And I'm actually gonna cut back my egg just a little bit because I feel like I don't have as much cauliflower rice in here today. But again, if you're on 5-in-1 plan, be sure to follow the recipe as stated. And again, if you ever have trouble finding those recipes, you can message right here or reach out to me on Facebook and I can point you in the right direction. So what we're doing here is we're taking that cauliflower rice that we've already either baked or squeezed out, and we want to add in, it says 3 large eggs, but we're doing 2 today because of that. We're gonna add just a little bit of salt. Again, that is one thing that's super important because that cauliflower will need some salt to bring out some of the flavors. And with this crust, sometimes when I've done a pizza crust, we've added a little bit of Parmesan and things like that. Here's the deal. If you're on 5-in-1, you know all of those things count. If you're not, this could be a place you could add something else to it. But again, why mess with something that's really, really the perfect lean and green meal? So we're gonna take, it says on the recipe parchment. I love these little silicone mats. You can see mine are well loved and used. And we're gonna use that to actually bake our crust right on there. I thought about today maybe using like a pizza stone. I don't know if you guys have like a Pampered Chef pizza stone. I use that sometimes in different recipes. But today, just because of the egg and the moisture here, I wanted to make sure that I get a non-stick option here to make sure that this pizza crust does not stick because I want it to come off beautifully. Now, a little bit extra cauliflower would have made this crust either two smaller sizes, or I think the recipe says shape it into a 12-inch circle. Now, I'm probably going a little bit bigger than that because I want it to be super thin. But if you will notice, I'm leaving kind of some edges, almost like a little raised up crust, because I want the goodies that I'm gonna put in here after to have a ridge to kind of sit inside of. Okay, I'm just kind of gauging that. That's about 12 inches, but you'll see I'm kind of thin in some places. So I could have made it a little bit smaller. I think I can get it. Again, I'm just using a little spoon. A wet hand would also do this where it doesn't kind of stick and pull up. Okay, so we want to get that started. And what I'm going to do, let me check my time. I don't know that we'll get this all the way cooked, but I want to go ahead and put it in so we can possibly get to it before the end of this time. I had that on 400 earlier, so now I raised it up to 425. It says 30 minutes, but let's just gauge it. Let's play it by ear. Okay, thicker the crust, the longer it will take. That's pretty thin, so I might can get that to be firmed up and ready in less than 30 minutes. We'll see. So let's move on to the ingredients that we're gonna top that pizza with. Just in case we don't get back to the crust, we'll have a finished picture for you. Now, I already told you I used a bag of frozen chicken breast. It actually wasn't even full chicken breast. I don't know how this happened, but it was something called, well, I have to dig it out of my trash now, like pieces, breast pieces. So obviously it's just like the little guys that fell short, and it ended up so perfect, guys. It's actually, I loved it more than the big breast pieces. They were smaller little chunks of chicken white meat. Again, white meat breasts fall into our leaner category for protein. And so I've simply shredded it up, and it's so easy in the Instant Pot. It cooks it so nicely that I just took a spatula and like kind of stirred it around, and it shredded it up so perfectly. Okay, so, but here's the thing. Here I am trying to make everybody feel like they can cook this way. Guess what I could have done? I could have gotten white meat chicken breast out of a can. Guys, it would have been fine. Keep it simple. Now, I would have checked this. No preservatives added. I don't think there's any brand of chicken that you would find additional oils or fats and things like that added. Sometimes with tuna, we have to be careful when it's canned because it will be canned with oil, heavy oil. But with the chicken, we typically don't find that. So it's a great source. Now, am I a bit of a princess that I feel like I don't really like eating this application with canned chicken? Maybe, but you could, and it'd be fine. Nobody would know the difference. In fact, when I shredded this up, it really looks a lot like canned chicken. So feel free to have those things. If it means you are adopting a healthy way of cooking, do whatever it takes. If it means cutting some corners right now and keeping some canned chicken in the pantry for now, then do it. Don't let things like having to cook in the Instapot and having to have seasonings and spices throw you off, okay? Find a way to make it happen. Now, this is gonna be super flavorful and, I mean, punch in the face flavor, buffalo style, okay? Now, this is something, if you are a family and your children don't care for buffalo flavors, then this is something that that's the night you wanna bring out some chicken tenders or something else for the kids. But if you are a fan of buffalo wings, then you know what this sauce does. It just wakes you up, right? This is just wing sauce. Now, I've used Sweet Baby Ray's today. I've used Frank's in the past. That's typically what I keep in stock. But the main thing is to look on the back of the label, be aware of what you're putting in your body. And I know that has no additional sugars added. 1 carb. Let me see. No, I was just going to say sometimes 0 sugars too. Okay, so sometimes you see sugars, but then it'll say no added sugars. And no added sugars is an important thing, but in this case, this sauce is great. This is definitely going to count as a condiment, but it's super flavorful. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. Now, the recipe says to go ahead and add all the ingredients, which would be wing sauce, a little bit of garlic powder, just granulated garlic, and it is blue cheese crumbles. Now, this is one thing I have to address too. You might have trouble finding a low-fat or reduced-fat blue cheese in a small town. These are things you want to add to your list, and when you are up in Fort Worth or in a bigger city shopping, then maybe look and see if you can find that variety. If not, then I would just encourage moderation and go ahead and enjoy the flavors. It says to put it in here. I'm not going to, because I really want those crumbles to not break apart and melt down. And since my chicken was right out of the Instapot, that's what would happen. So to that, we're gonna add 4 green onions. Let's see if I have my sharp knife. I don't. And so we're just gonna, and now again, I wanna remind you, oftentimes on plan, you'll hear me talk about not using yellow onions or sweet onions. Typically those things, they're awesome and they caramelize up so beautifully and add such great flavor to so many dishes, but they also add sugars. So that's why when on plan, oh, my good knife is in the steak, so I have to use this one. The green onion, it gives you a little bit of the essence of onion, a little bit of a crunch, but it is not gonna be the same as a yellow onion. And that is just one healthy habit that is something I can't encourage enough. Just get over it. Just move past it, okay? And just know that if you're gonna add sugars to your diet, to your regular routine and nutrition, then let it be in the form of an onion. Now later in maintenance, does it really matter? Not so much, but I found that, if it doesn't call for it, then I typically still use my green onions. With the exception of a time or two, I do love a good saute onion, with a beef fajita or something like that in maintenance. But remember, while on plan, it's important to stay 100%. So I've got those things, and see, it even makes my eyes burn a little bit. So it's real, it's the real deal, right? I wish you guys were here with me. I have to reveal something kind of funny. I love coming to you every single week. It's one of my favorite days of the week. Getting everything ready, hustle and bustling, and trying to figure out exactly what I want to show you guys to eat is something really, it's become a part of my healthy habit. And it's growing my repertoire of recipes and things that I share with clients. So it's a perfect win-win situation. But when I say, welcome to my kitchen, I guess I really take that to heart because I just left my bedroom touching up my lip gloss, and I spritz a little perfume like I was about to see some of you guys here. But if you were here, you would not only smell my perfume, but you would smell these onions. So lots of flavor packed into this topping. Here is a beautiful, oh, if you could smell it. Guys, there's no way this won't be a delicious lunch for us. The other ingredient is gonna be a cup of low-fat mozzarella. Super easy to find low-fat mozzarella, okay? Cannot make an excuse there because that is always readily available. And so we're gonna set that to the side and we'll be ready, excuse me, when our crust, oh, it's already cooking up so nice. We're gonna be in good shape. I'm gonna come back to it. So let's move forward and put the buffalo chicken cauliflower crust pizza to the side for a moment. Next up, we are looking at that other really indulgent cheat meal. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. I mean, it's a Philly cheesesteak. Here's what I'm telling you. My most favorite memory of a Philly cheesesteak is sitting on the corner of Central Park when we arrived in New York one time for a visit, and we happened to have my mom and dad with us. It was a few years ago. And we went to a food truck, like right off the bat. We didn't really have time to eat from the airport, so we had already kind of missed lunch, so man, we were hungry, and we were like, let's get something. And I wanted a New York City hot dog. That's one of my favorite things to do when we're in New York City, and I can't wait to do it again one of these days. But my mom wanted a Philly cheesesteak. Guys, when I prepared this morning, getting some of the things ready, the components, it just gave me a warm fuzzy, because that is my idea of that comfort food, and it brings us right back to memories. And so with that being said, here I am, a weight loss coach. How do we balance emotional eating, like things that make us feel, take us back to a place? Well, here's what you do. We're gonna get those same flavors, and we're gonna do it healthy. And tonight, when we have this Philly cheesesteak skillet, I'm gonna be reminded of that beautiful day in New York City with my mom, and the mess that Philly cheesesteak was for her. We won't actually have that big of a mess. So we're gonna do it a little bit healthy. So what I've done here is 1.5 pounds of beef steak. Now I've just taken an inexpensive cut of sirloin. You could easily, guys, if you wanna make this even simpler, I make a Philly cheesesteak stuffed bell pepper, and I just go to the deli, and you could easily get a rare roast beef from the deli, shaved thick, like get it on the 2 or the 3 if they'll cut it for you thick. And then just use that in place of the steak if you don't want to do a piece of sirloin. Or, you know, I mean, the sky's the limit. Use a beautiful cut. Use a filet, or even a ribeye, as long as the fat's removed. I know the marbling wouldn't be, but the fats could be removed a little bit, and that would make a really delicious meal as well. So what we've taken is 1.5 pounds. I'm gonna get my iron skillet. I love using my iron skillet for dishes like this. I've lightly spritzed it, and I'm gonna throw in 1/2 cup again of green onion, okay? In real life, we know that this would include lots of sauteed caramelized yellow onion. The thing is, we've talked about before, that's so much sugars. If we're gonna add sugars back into our protocol, then we won't be in fat burn. And to me, I'm like, if we knew the equivalency of like what a yellow onion sauteed up and caramelized versus a donut, I mean, let's be real. We don't want to add sugars that way. So green onion, a little bit of garlic, got that pan heating up now. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over. Now this is kind of a really great one dish kind of meal. I have a place for that to be removed to. I could go ahead and throw on another skillet so that I could be cooking up the peppers, but again, this is my real dinner, and that's my real sink full of dishes that I already have to take care of. So we're gonna keep it simple, and I'm gonna finish off. I've already done a bell pepper that's green and a red bell pepper, and I'm gonna do a quick orange one. I think the recipe probably says like multicolored. I think I just put multicolored. Again, it's just gonna make it a prettier dish. If you only have green bell peppers, is that okay? Sure, it's not gonna be as colorful. And you know how I talk about making healthy food look amazing? Makes it a lot easier to be on plan, okay? So we're gonna take, oh, that crust is gonna be great. We're gonna take this orange bell pepper and go ahead and cut it up as well. And I do want you to know, I just thought about this when I was prepping a little bit to get a few things done ahead of time. This red pepper was one I had left over in my basket of goodies, and it was kind of spent. Like, it wasn't crisp and firm. You know, it kind of had begun to dull a little bit. It wasn't spoiled. It just wasn't like one of the peppers that you would be able to crunch into, if you know what I mean. It was a little mushy. But I'm telling you, this kind of dish, this is a great way to use up those vegetables at the end of the week that maybe you didn't use all the bag of your mini bell peppers, things like that. As you can see, I haven't touched it. I want that beef to kind of sear. Okay, just giving it a quick sear. Now I'm going to kind of stir it around just a bit. And we want to take it to about a medium rare. We don't have to cook it all the way through. I think the recipe states to brown it, but I know that this is about to go into the oven and it's going to cook it all the way through. So I don't have to overcook that steak, okay? I've got my bell peppers. And now what I want to add to, do I want to do that? I think I will wait and add it to the pan. We're going to add to the pan in just a moment when I transition this. Actually, I do want to go ahead and add my garlic to the beef, okay? That's about 1 clove of garlic. And the rest of it I'm going to wait and add back after. I'm going to do a quick swirl of olive oil so these peppers can go right in there. These are going to just go until they're tender. Look at this, guys. That's just beautiful. That's why it's important to buy those multicolored bell peppers. When you're trying to stay on plan, you want to enjoy your food. You want it to be beautiful in the presentation. Let me just take this over here for a second because I want to go ahead and add the sauces to this. We're going to add, this may surprise you. This is a surprising ingredient for you. And this is a teaspoon of ginger. Now I use the ginger that's in the squeeze tube. It's easy to keep on hand. Maybe some of you don't cook with ginger often, but that keeps for quite some time. And so I recommend it. I use it in my unstuffed cabbage roll and like cracked slaw, things like that. Now this is 2 tablespoons of a no sugar added tomato paste that I like to keep on hand. Now, the recipe calls for sugar-free ketchup. I do not keep, hey, no ma'am. I might need a sous chef to come get the furry girl. Hello, Hoka. Can you say hello to all of our Facebook friends? No. She's not as helpful as like sometimes it is to have some of the other guys help me out. But 1 teaspoon of sriracha. That sriracha is going to underlie the flavors. It's just going to bring out a little bit of spice and it's going to be beautiful. Now I'm just going to toss this around. I left a little bit of juice from the meat in this pan and you'll see I've just kind of stirred it around and we're going to let those saute until they're golden brown, okay? Look at this. Guys, look, this pizza crust is going to be amazing. I am jealous. I mean, I think all of you should be jealous that you're not over here for lunch today because this lunch is going to be phenomenal. So that's sauteing. Let's switch gears back to our buffalo chicken. The filling that we made before, we're going to load this up. Now again, remember I did not use as much cauliflower as I needed to, so I'm going to hold back a little bit of this and not overload this cauliflower. I want this portion to be correct. In the recipe, you'll notice that it says, excuse me, oh my goodness, this is going to be good. I really want those peppers to cook down until they're tender though, because other than a quick broil in the oven, all of those things are gonna be cooked. I'm gonna put a little bit of my crumbled blue cheese right on top. And then I get to add almost a full cup. I'm gonna reserve a little bit back for the other part of the buffalo chicken. And it's ample amount. I think you guys would be so surprised. You know, dieting doesn't have to be a bad thing. Please, if you come away with nothing else today, come away with the fact that we all diet. We all diet. We have to eat. We have to plan out what are we gonna put in our bodies today. That diet can be poorly organized food, or it can be really amazing, healthy combinations of lean protein and healthy vegetables with healthy fats and beautiful seasonings to bring out the best in the food that we eat. This is going to be a pizza that I think everyone would enjoy. Now, how could you modify this if you didn't like buffalo? You could definitely add in enchilada sauce instead of the buffalo sauce and make it kind of a Mexican pizza. You could also, we've done a Greek version with Kalamata olives and feta cheese instead of blue cheese. So that's an idea. We're gonna add just a little bit of moisture. I just put a little bit of water. You could easily add a splash of beef broth if that gets a little dry and you need to add some more moisture. Those are just beginning to get nice. I can tell that they're tender. I've even got a little bit of char around the edges. That's awfully nice. So I'm gonna set this here. We're gonna add back our simple sirloin steak, onion and garlic mixture. Guys, this would be an amazing make-ahead dish, or have this ready. Now, I have it in my iron skillet, but you could easily put this in a foil pan. This would be a great dish to take to that loved one or a neighbor that needs a meal. All in one, you've got it taken care of. Now, here's what we get to add to the top of this. Provolone cheese. Again, cheese is an added source of protein. So we're able to get low fats, but a good source of protein. On this one, I weighed out. Now, I would get either a block and grate it yourself, but we had this at home, just some sliced provolone. So I just went ahead and cut it up into little pieces, and it's 1.5 cups. Now, for you guys on plan, I actually took the time and weighed it out. A cup of provolone is actually 7 ounces. And so that's super easy to just weigh that real quick on my scale. Again, for you guys that are on 5 and 1, it's super important to always measure. We can guesstimate to a degree, but are we gonna be exactly right? And you know, the reality is this plan is based in science, so we've gotta do it right. I'm gonna stick this now under the broiler. Look at that. Oh my goodness, guys. I wish you could be here for these flavors. I am taken right back to that food truck at the corner of Central Park and like 5th Avenue. A beautiful memory of some really indulgent food turned into a healthy dinner for you and your family. Now, tonight, we do have some butter lettuce or bib lettuce. For some reason, this actually is called Boston lettuce, but so it has 3 different names, but you know what I mean. That, or even a romaine, a piece of romaine. That's gonna be our Philly cheesesteak vessel. We're gonna hold these and make them more like a lettuce wrap tonight for serving. Does it mean you couldn't have this on, even there's little egg wraps, that would be a great addition to this. Or for your children, for your family that's not on 5 and 1, put it on a piece of crusty bread or a tortilla. That would be a great application as well. But we're gonna toss this in a 400 degree oven. I'm actually gonna now take, hey Google, set a timer, 4 minutes. See, because you guys aren't here in my kitchen.
Starting now.
And you know I will forget and walk away from there and leave it burnt. So set my timer. That's gonna be out of the broiler in just a few minutes. And I will not only have an amazing lunch on this rainy day, but I already have dinner ready. So in about 30 minutes or so, I had about a 20-minute lead time to put that chicken in the Instapot. But other than that, guys, this is easy cooking. Easy cooking that makes a way for you to find a new way of life, a new way to live healthy and live longer and happier. I am so glad that you came to watch today. If you have any questions, be sure and leave them in the comments. You can find me, Julie Brinkley, on Instagram or Facebook, Motivation with Brink, if you're looking on Instagram. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Until then, be nice. And the joys of no help in the studio, I have to walk around to turn you off. So be extra nice and enjoy this rain in Texas.